Welcome to the Feel Better, Live Better podcast. Our goal is to provide you insightful conversations about all things health and wellness. We dive into the stories, science, strategies that help you optimize your well-being, physically, mental, and emotional health. Each episode features engaging discussions with health experts, real-life success stories, and practical advice to empower you on your wellness journey. Whether we're breaking down the latest medical advancements, exploring holistic health solutions, or chatting about everyday habits that make a difference, our goal is simple: to help you feel better and live better. Tune in for inspiring narratives, expert consultations, candid conversations that bring health to life, one talk at a time.
If you enjoy our podcast, please like and subscribe and consider becoming a digital subscriber to the Albuquerque Journal to help us bring you more content like this. You can find this episode and all of our podcasts on the Albuquerque Journal website, abqjournal.com, as well as YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify. See the show notes for a discount code on a digital subscription. Thank you for supporting the Albuquerque Journal, New Mexico's leading news.
Hi, I'm Kristi Fury. Welcome to the Feel Better, Live Better podcast. Today, I'm joined by a longtime friend and also a repeated guest, Veronica Castillo, who's a local nutritionist. On today's podcast, we're talking about local grocery shopping and the importance of it from a health perspective, in nutrients, and also just supporting the local economy.
Beyond Health is dedicated to helping patients achieve a life of health. Our passion at Beyond Health is transforming your health so you can live the very best life. Beyond Health can be your partner in your journey to optimal health.
Hi, Veronica. I'm so excited to have you back again today for another podcast with us. Today, we're going to be talking about the importance of shopping local for food. So first, before we get started, what inspired you to focus on local food sourcing?
A number of variables. As business owners, of course, we want to keep the money within our community. We know a lot of business owners, whether those are restaurateurs, grocers, farmers. And, there's a level of reciprocity that we want to exercise, but also from the nutrient standpoint and the health benefits that provides us. And then for people who are concerned with their carbon footprint, that also is a big factor as well.
Yes. So let's move into the benefits of buying local for meats. So from your viewpoint as a nutritionist, what differences do you see between local raised meats and those from large commercial suppliers?
Again, a lot of variables, right? I think the most obvious one that we see in commercial grocers as opposed to locally sourced stuff is the color. You're getting bright red meat whenever you go and pick up a pound of ground beef. And the thing that people don't realize is you have that 1 pound of ground beef, but how many animals are in that? Whenever I go and, we buy a half a beef every year from a rancher in Clayton, New Mexico, the Martinez Ranch, but it's one animal. And yes, whenever I go get a brisket from a big grocery store, it's huge. And the briskets from, the local rancher, it's a little smaller, but it's so much richer in flavor. And we know that meat that is grass-fed, it's going to be higher in omega fatty acids and also conjugated linoleic acid. So we're just working to our heart health and our metabolic health.
Mm-hmm. So go in and explain a little bit more as far as, to the average viewer, probably when they see meat that looks red, they're like, oh, that's healthy.
Yeah.
But go into
it's fresher.
So go into a little bit of details why that's maybe not the best thing to be looking at as something of, oh, this is a good piece of meat.
Well, why is it bright red? They're in these big, manufacturing. That's what it is. It's food manufacturing. These animals, it's a mill. And so we know that there's a lot of just standard operating procedures. There's routine antibiotic administration. Whereas, you'll see a local rancher, they'll treat a sick animal for sure, but it's not just, okay, let's hit them with everything. Boom, boom, boom. There are dyes to take into account as well. And, we know that whenever you're assessing the meat, is it tender? Is it tough? Is it springy? Even in the packaging, is there a lot of blood pooling from it? Is it actually blood, or is it, blood, water, and dye? The layperson, we have been conditioned to believe that the bright red indicates freshness. And even more so, if that's all that you've been exposed to, and then you do eat fresh chicken or fresh fish or line caught fish, grass-fed beef, most people will tell me, this is really gamey tasting. But it's almost like they fail to recognize this is an animal too. It's not an elk you're going out and harvesting in the wild. This is, just like the olden days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and I think maybe I should have backed up. I think I know you and I talk a lot at 5 a.m. in the morning when we're working out. But really what piqued my interest was, I come from a farm and ranch myself, and my nephews raised a few chicken birds, or meat chicken, I guess is how you say it, birds this season, and they butchered them. And I was like blown away of what it really tasted like. Here all these years I've been buying, organic. I try to look for those labels that, again, to my knowledge, that I feel like makes it a better quality of meat. But there was no comparison. The organic chicken I've been buying at the, local commercial grocery store doesn't even compare to the taste. I kind of forgot what chicken really tastes like.
Yeah. No, it's true. And so whenever you're in a grocery store, let's say that you go to a big grocer, there are some larger grocers that carry some local products. Whether those are eggs or regenerative farm eggs. And the key things to look out for, or, the region that these products are coming from. Is it organic? Because organic indicates that it's, steroid-free, antibiotic-free, pesticide-free. But also what the animal's diet was. Is it grain-fed, grass-fed, pasture-raised? And then even with pasture-raised, especially in the egg world, you can kind of play that off, because that just indicates that it had room to roam. But, what are the parameters that are set on what constitutes as a pasture, right?
Yeah.
So
let's go a little bit further into that, in the sense of what are some maybe 2 or 3, whatever tips for a viewer that they could select a good source of meat from a local source? Again, you talked a little bit about the labels. Let's dive into that. What does a label say? We are going, I know this is a focus on local food grocery stores, and we'll dive in, but say they can't get to a local grocery store. What are some labels that they should be looking for in your traditional big box grocery stores?
Well, and it really depends on what your values and priorities are. I know that if I can get locally raised, regionally raised meats, then I will. But you're going to see a difference in the size of the animal and the harvest, right? The big commercial chicken breasts, how do they compare to your family's chicken breasts? They're a little small. Yeah. So, but they're richer, and you have to look at how many hands are being traded, from this hand to that hand, and, the road, and all the way to the store. So if you want something that's pesticide free or, antibiotic free, then go for organic. If you do care about what the animal is eating, then look for, grain-fed, grass-fed, pasture-raised. Even in pasture-raised, what about the conditions that the animal is raised in? Because that's, I think, with pasture-raised, grass-fed, whenever we look at us as humans, if we get stressed out, does that affect us? physically. Yeah, you know that. I mean, this
yeah.
is something that we're constantly talking to clients and patients about. Like, how's your sleep? How's your recovery? What's your stress management? Do you even know what stress management is? So how would that be any different with animals? And so for some people, the conditions in which an animal is raised before it's slaughtered, that matters quite a bit too, because whenever it's in a high stress environment, that's going to increase the lactic acid content. That's going to make the meat tougher, as opposed to an animal that's just out living life. And then, again, the meat that we get, the beef we get every year, we know the family. We know the conditions. They have their grandkids going in, throwing hay for them. So to me, I'm still eating an animal, but I feel better about it. I feel better about the quality of it. And I know that it wasn't it wasn't under duress, and that matters to me.
So then let's shift a little bit. So what would a viewer look at? So if they go into a local grocery store here from and they know their butcher, like, again, what are some key takeaways that we could give the viewers so that they know they are getting a good quality meat? Again, not focusing on the commercial big box grocery stores, but now focusing on the local grocery stores.
Yeah, if you go to a local place, typically you will speak with a butcher. And butchers, it's truly a skill. It's a skill, that trade. It's not given the credit I think it deserves. But an informed butcher is going to let you know where these things are coming from, and also what's coming down the pipeline as well. And then if you become a regular, they can let you know, hey, this is coming in terms of seasonal slaughters, and letting you know, like, hey, this farm is bringing this in, and their pork is usually this and that, and, or holiday hams, that kind of thing. And so they'll let you know the conditions, again, the environment that it's raised in, if it's grass-fed, if it's grain-fed, their personal preferences and suggestions, because they're the professionals in this world. Yeah. And so I think asking them for their advice, that's just the way to go.
Yeah. So do you have any specific local butcher grocery stores that you like specifically for meat?
For me, the most popular one in town locally, obviously Keller Farms. Keller's, their farm stores, they don't just have, they have a lot of other local items as well. And they have multiple locations. We have Nelson's. They have, gosh darn, they're on 4th Street. No Bull Meats. That's a very popular one. You can get really good cuts. And then also, there's the El Mezquita Market. Doesn't get the praise it deserves, but they have a lot of local products as well. And one that I really don't think a lot of folks know about it's called Farm to You by Bone Vita Farms. Bone Vita Farms is in Belen, New Mexico. But they, we see some, what is it? Tiny Grocer ABQ is in Old Town. We know we have that covered. Noble, Keller's, Nelson's, those can serve a good portion of Albuquerque. But what about the Midtown area? That area has kind of changed and transitioned. And even whenever I was living in that area, there were just big commercial grocers. And so they had meat there, they had local produce, they had local honey. That one is, I don't know if it just needs more marketing, or maybe more people just need to go there and promote it. Yeah. But that is truly one of our biggest gems for people in that.
And which one's that?
A Farm to You.
Farm to You is there in Midtown. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's right there on Manal. And I've gone in there a couple times. They have some nice stuff, some local treats, but also meat. Yeah. Meat, vegetables, fruits. Yeah.
So let's transition. Well, I want to make one more comment on meats and then but shopping, I think a lot of viewers probably understand. Well, we're going to talk about the importance of shopping for seasonal fruit and vegetables. Does the same apply for meats, or is seasonal meats not?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay.
So and it's all rancher farmer dependent because like our cow is going to slaughter early November, so I'll go pick it up mid-November. But there was also a spring harvest and, another one in July. So, and that's with our rancher that we use. And same kind of goes for other ranchers. You have to find the one that works for you. But then you have to see when, hog season is. And then with chickens, meat chickens, you can just keep those suckers going year round. And you have this incredible resource with your family, your nephews, just meat birds.
I just need them to get them focused on it. So let's transition to fruits and vegetables. So let's talk to our viewers about why getting fruits and vegetables from a local grocery store versus a big commercial grocery store, the benefits there. And I want to make sure we dive in. I think one thing that I've discovered that it's probably common sense to you, I just never really thought about it, it's important to look, especially if you're going to a big commercial grocery store, trying to find the closest grower to us, right? Versus if you have the ability to pick a peach that was grown in Colorado over Georgia, we'll pick the Colorado one because it didn't have to get picked as early, right? And so it's still attached to the, vine or root, whatever it might be attached to. And it's just, anyways, I'd like to kind of, because it was something that, I don't know, I guess I never thought of that. And now moving forward with the research of this, I am going to start looking at picking the closer places of where the fruit and vegetables are grown. And so again,
definitely.
That's probably common knowledge to you.
Well, I mean, it's learned also, but yeah, at this point I have so many reps in it. Yeah. But if you think about it, just from the mechanical aspect, to get something from Florida to here, it has to be picked weeks in advance. So it's not being harvested at peak ripeness, especially for some produce like oranges. A lot of times it's chemically ripened with ethylene gas. And then if not chemically ripened, then, the produce, it has to respirate. And so it's emitting more carbon dioxide. It's utilizing its own sugars to ripen on its own, thus losing nutrient content. And so, but then also from Florida to New Mexico, that's a lot of miles. How many hands is it going through? And we can sit here and say that, I don't discriminate. I know it's a better product. People will always push aside the bruised stuff, the stuff that isn't as aesthetically pleasing, even if it is better for you. No. And so that's the other part of it. And so there's the carbon footprint, there's the food miles, as it's called. Is it harvested peak ripeness or chemically ripened, or is it just losing nutrient content in travel? But also the manual part of it, if you're getting it at peak ripeness, then, and especially if it's in season, then we know that there's an abundance of whatever item. Like right now, we're in apples and pears, winter squash, pumpkins, even though everybody thinks it's just for carving, but you can eat them. Yeah. And that's huge,
Yeah. So what do you know, what is that percentage? So I'm really trying to, give the viewers some practical information as, the importance, especially with fruits and vegetables, and not putting aside meats. I think we get the meats, but the fruits and vegetables of what is that percentage of nutritional value on an average does it lose when it is coming from several states away in relationship of how early it has to be picked? I mean, like you said, it never gets the most nutrients it needs because it has to get picked weeks before it's ready to get picked. Mm-hmm. So do you know, is there a percentage, okay, you buy, let's say, an apple here locally from a farm versus an apple that's coming from Washington State? What's the difference? And is there?
Do I know the math?
Yeah,
no,
is it
off the top of my head?
To what degree is it a 50% reduction?
It's pretty significant. Okay. Because you can tell look at them again. You're going to see commercially produced stuff. it's going to be bigger, stronger, faster, right? But the local stuff, it's smaller, but it's richer. Yeah. If you can't tell just by the taste, and, people, you pick and choose because sometimes we can't always opt for organic only on everything. And so you pick and choose what is most important to you. Yeah. But, there once upon a time was a controversy of it's all the same. Well, let's say that it is the same. Let's say that the flavor is the same. Mm-hmm. Do you want to, it's almost like sucking on a lozenge that's full of pesticides. I don't want that for myself at least, and not for my family. Yeah. So that's a personal choice. But what's the nutrient difference?
Like you think about 50%?
Is it 50%?
I have no. I don't know. I'm asking you.
I'll have to hop on the Google machine for
I
that
was
one.
Curious because to me, that percentage is enough, even though it might not be as convenient that I only have to drive a block to go to the grocery store, drive a little bit further to actually a local grocery store. To me, that's all I need to know. Like that I am getting closer to 100% nutritional value with this fruit and vegetable versus convenient just going down the road or block and going to a bigger box grocery store. Yeah.
Well, and a lot of that, I think, these are good educational, teachable moments that I like to say. Not just for us, but for our kids too, taking them and letting them understand, like berries, one of the most highly sprayed crops. But if you look at a strawberry, it has pores. So it's drinking it in, right? It's absorbing all of that. Yeah. And it's not going to be as rich in flavor as opposed to something that you get from Heidi's farm. They're everything is so much richer. Yeah, they're a little smaller, but it tastes better. So, and we know that with that comes along higher nutrient content.
Yeah. So I think that's another interesting kind of takeaway is, we always think bigger is better. But when you're really looking, especially at fruits and vegetables, bigger is not better. If anything, what I'm hearing from you is that's actually a clue you might want to stay away from it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, GMOs are a thing for a reason, and they shouldn't be vilified as harshly because they have their place. Just like a lot of other things that I think are vilified. It's not a all or nothing kind of model. But whenever it comes to food and, modifying it so that it's just bigger, but look at the consumption in the United States. Yeah. We are bigger. And so it didn't just happen. Yeah. It's because we're eating big too. And same thing goes with like restaurants. Like, they have nice big portions. That's like 2 or 3 meals.
Exactly. So how is there a website or like if a viewer wants to understand, let me back up. I think, one thing I want to, educate the viewers on is the importance of eating what is in season, right? I think that's a concept like you shouldn't be eating strawberries in winter because guess what? They've been, grown in a lab more than likely or
travel from some far away. Yeah.
But so like, is there websites or how would a viewer find out, okay, I want it for, going into the holidays. I want to make sure that my family, we are eating seasonal fruits and vegetables. Where would one find that information at?
Well, there's a local harvest calendar. I think it's the NMFA. Their harvest calendar. And then there's Eat Local NM on social media. We always have the downtown growers market. There's the rail yards market. And so you see it right in front of us, what's available to us.
That's right. You're around?
That's a good question. But for certain apps and websites, there's the seasonal food guide. If you just Google or search seasonal food guide, then that brings up everything that's relevant to our location, our region. Mm-hmm. But eating stuff that's in season, of course this is what a lot of people don't recognize. It's kind of like with breast milk. Mm-hmm. Your breast milk, it's designer food for our baby. If they're sick, it has a little more immunoglobulin in there. In the same way that our environment it knows that, okay, barometric pressure is changing. So nutrient changes are coming along. It's getting colder. We're probably not going to be outside as often. So vitamin D is going to do what? It's going to tank.
Okay.
So if you really pay attention, again, these are teachable moments. And so, and then the regenerative farming, the quality of our soil, why would that not be any different by rotating crops? It's going to be more nutrient rich as opposed to just corn all year. That's like us eating the same thing all day, every day of the year, which is a whole other thing that we could go into. But yeah.
No, and then so what happens? So like, I don't know, maybe you can put an example of, let's pick a vegetable. So like, what is a vegetable right now that's not in season that you should not be eating?
I wouldn't say like should not be eating, but I mean, asparagus isn't in season. But you can go and get asparagus anytime you want. Yeah.
Okay.
But even in a big grocery store, you'll see a difference in the size of organic asparagus to not organic asparagus. You'll taste a difference from the organic asparagus to the not organic asparagus.
Anything else that you feel like is important for our viewers as far as understanding, fruits and vegetables? As far as I think, we talked, well, let me first, what are some local grocery stores for fruits and vegetables? Or are they the same for the meats?
No, well, so Keller's, they have some stuff. Bonvita, they have some, Farm to You has stuff. El Mezquita, they have stuff. Tiny Grocer, it's a full, well-rounded, small grocer. I think it's deemed a micro grocer. But Fruit Basket, that's one that I've told you about there in Los Ranchos, that area. It serves the North Valley. It's not just produce alone, but they have local like estancia pinto beans there. Other things that are in season, especially right now. It's chili season, so we know that there's green chili, red chili, all of that coming along. And so that usually will make its way to some place like Fruit Basket and from multiple farms.
Any other important things you think our viewers need to be aware of as far as, the importance of the local fruits and vegetables? Because to me, I mean, I know the meats are contaminated, like I get that. But I think, and maybe this is just my viewpoint, so this might not be a correct viewpoint, but I feel like the fruits and especially vegetables are kind of overlooked. Like, I think the general public understands the meat because, like, going back to your previous point, they see it in the, in the grocery store. I mean, it's pretty evident.
Yeah.
But I think, and again, maybe I'm wrong here, and maybe this is just but I think there's a misconception of the importance of local vegetables.
Well, there's a misconception, more of a misunderstanding. And, that costs more. It's like, well, if you really eat what's in season, there's a higher abundance of that item. Like, let's say winter squash right now. There is no shortage of it. And we know that it's going to be richer. It's more, like you're just going to see more of it in terms of quantity. And so it's going to be at a better price point. And so the argument of eating organic and eating healthy is so expensive. It's not. It isn't valid. Now, if you're trying to have some very exotic fruit salad with guava and pineapple and mango, we're in a desert. We're not sourcing any of that stuff locally.
Correct.
But from the nutrient standpoint, like I was saying, our body is very intuitive. And even though it gives us signals and cues that unfortunately a lot of us overlook or just don't know how to translate, it's letting us know in the environment around us, it knows, it picks up on these things. And I know that sounds real woo-woo, but it's just the way things have always been done. And yes, food manufacturing, it's big. It's not going anywhere. But from a nutrient standpoint, I mean, for our general health, like biophysiology, but also from learning. Like, what do we want for our kids? I don't want my kids just being chicken nugget, mac and cheese kids. It's going into a store is an experience for them. It's like, where are we getting this? And maybe I go too far just because of the world I live in. But, there are always takeaways for them. And, and it is maybe some conditioning as well.
Yeah.
But it's so they can go off into the world and make these choices for themselves. It's not going to be perfect, but, drops in the bucket here and there add up.
Yeah. So let's transition a bit to like community and environmental impact on shopping local. So how does shopping locally help strengthen the community and the local economy? I mean, I think we understand the basics, but let's dive a little bit deeper of like what it's really doing for our community.
Well, I mean, we're keeping money here in our local economy. It's especially now that everything is at our fingertips in the interwebs, but we're supporting small businesses. I know that you and I both, as business owners, I'm really big on, like, if I can go get a burger at a local place, I'll do that over some, a chain. But I think also with something like, I don't know, meat sourcing, produce sourcing. There's so many local restaurants, not just supporting the local restaurants, but the local restaurants supporting local farmers and ranchers. I mean, Meraki, they are one of the best ones in town that they'll get locally sourced beef and produce. If you look at the shop breakfast and lunch, the guy, he's getting locally sourced everything. And then even his baked goods he keeps in there are from a micro bakery. Mighty Mike's Meats. He has that guy. He's great about working with a lot of folks and promoting their small businesses so that we do make our local economy stronger. But I mean, it's a network as well, so that we do keep everything here. And we can't control everything, but I think it's incredible for us it's empowering for us. I mean, as business owners, it's empowering for our economy, and it's just healthier. Yeah.
Well, and I think, how I look at it is if you recycle your cardboard, your glass, your plastic, shopping locally at a grocery store is no different. I mean, I see it of equal value. If that's really your goal is to have an environmental impact, because you're going to be that, however, fruit, vegetable, meat hasn't had to travel the distance, so there's been less environmental impact.
Yeah, the food miles.
So how can small, consistent choices like buying produce once a week add up to make a difference in someone's overall health?
Well,
I know that's a big, right? Go wherever you want with that.
You keep it simple.
Yeah.
I'm a, keep it simple gal. I think especially in nutritionscape, it's so like 180. Everything is just, I'm going to change my life today, forever. And then you don't. But if you just pick one thing, like, okay, I'm going to start buying local produce only. You keep everything else the same, but, and then you just get consistent with that. It's consistency, just like everything else. And then maybe you decide, I want to switch to local eggs. You find, someone with chickens. So, I know a lot of gals. I feel like once you hit your 30s, it's sourdough, chickens, suddenly everybody has eggs or Pilates. I don't know. And you got to pick something. But by making those one change here for, on a consistent basis, and you got your routine down, next consistent basis, routine down. Next thing you know, you've overhauled your bubble, like your shopping bubble, your routine. And then also, especially if you have a family, you have to get them attuned to the new flavors and products.
Yeah. So like say a fruit and vegetable, if you buy it local, how long, I know this is going to vary on what it is, but how long should it last?
It depends. I bought a melon. I bought a melon. Melons aren't in season anymore. We just came out of melon season. That sucker sat on my counter for 2 weeks. If it was a local melon, it probably wouldn't have lasted that long. But if I look at a local melon as opposed to this foreign melon that I got, then, well, it's going to be richer in color. It's going to be a little more orangey. It's going to be sweeter. Because even after that 2 weeks of sitting on my counter, it still wasn't great. It had time to ripen, but that sucker came from a faraway land. And so we know with eggs, farm eggs, they last, and they don't need to be refrigerated, which is kind of scary for a lot of people. They don't get it.
My farm eggs. But.
Yeah, but those can go a long way.
Yeah. So for someone new to shopping local, and maybe we kind of touched, but what are your top 3 tips for getting started? I mean, I know, you and I are both big about just start simple. Like, don't go, okay, it's Saturday, we're going to go do all this local grocery store stuff.
Yeah, no, it starts small, simple, whatever word you want. Choose a farmer's market or a grocer, something that you like. And that might be a little hopping around at first, the first few weeks until you find where you fit in, find your people. Yeah. But then checking labels, knowing how to check labels when it was harvested, because local produce, it's not going to last as long. So this comes down to like having a plan for it. It's like, okay, we'll eat this today. This is not looking so hot right now, but I can eat it right now. Yeah. And then just plan for the days ahead.
Yeah. So how can someone shop local on a budget? Like, I think there's a and I know you and I are in the same, but like I have one of my employees, okay? She's a single mom with 4 kids, and she does her very best of eating healthy. I think it's that misconception of, well, I have no money, so what are some that we can maybe help some viewers with?
Well, if you are getting in-season produce, like I was saying earlier, there's a lot more of it. It's usually priced down. And so using the, Eat Local NM to see, or the harvest calendar to see what's in season and making a plan there. And you can only eat so many tomatoes during tomato season, but the other stuff matters too. Don't overpurchase. Everybody overpurchases stuff. And then you just see everything die in your produce drawer. Yeah. So buying only what you need. And again, this goes back to have a plan. It doesn't have to be a full-blown rigid meal plan. Just having an idea, like whenever I cook this steak, I'll make a salad. Yeah. Very ambiguous plan. But also a lot of these local places, they'll have discounts near closing time. And, we don't want to throw this away, so come get it for half price. Even in big grocers, they have this little tiny corner tucked away with, the stuff that's about to expire in a bag. Is it organic? Not always, but sometimes it is, and you'll get lucky.
So what's one easy swap viewers can make in their grocery store habits to start shopping more local today?
I like to say either instead of going just one trip, take one trip that you would normally go to maybe a big box grocer and go to a local place. And I like to call them field trips because grocery shopping is fun. It's especially if you go to a place that has good stuff. Oh my gosh. It's like, ooh, this is in season. Because life gets in the way, right? Yeah. It's like, oh man, look at these pears. Yeah. But yeah, like going on a field trip, and I try to make it fun. So I'll take one of my kids and it's like, let's go get some blah. And if you don't want to do the whole blown trip, then just choose one local product. Right. Honey is a big one here. Go get some local honey if you use honey. Otherwise, it's going to collect dust. Yeah. But getting local green chili, not the stuff that claims to be local green chili. Yeah. Eggs, again, there is an abundance of local eggs.
If you could leave listeners with one message about why shopping local matters for their health, what would it be?
I think, shopping locally and eating seasonal foods, whether it be meat or produce, it's a rhythm. Traditionally, if you look at, the beginning of man, it's what we've always done. And then if it's a habit that you adopt, you're going to start to notice changes in your body's patterns. You're going to start to notice changes in even, the patterns in the season at a grocery store. And also, it's going to make your palate a little more sensitive. And so, to me, you're really just fine-tuning yourself for your own environment. making yourself better.
Yep. Well, I want to thank you once again, Veronica. I love having you on as a guest. It's always fun, and we always get a few laughs. So thank you again for your time.
Yeah, I love being here.
Yeah.